Welcome to the Home Business Podcast with Richard Captain Henderson, publisher of Home Business Magazine, and Sherilyn Colleen, managing editor. This how-to show helps you successfully operate your home-based business.
Greetings and welcome to the Home Business Podcast. I'm Richard Captain Henderson, your skipper at Home Business TV.
I'm Lynn, your co-host.
Let's secure, proceed, and get underway. What is a matriarch? You know, you can tell she's in charge the second she walks into the room.
She's bold, she's fierce, and she's got her own unique style.
A matriarch does not second guess herself, but moves herself and those she loves boldly into the future.
The matriarch knows exactly what she wants the end game to be, and she has the power to make it happen. Can you be a matriarch in your business?
To help us answer that question, we're joined with Randy Patterson, lifelong entrepreneur, author of The Matriarch Rules, and CEO of Pro Doula.
So greetings, Randy Patterson. Welcome to our podcast. Say hey to our listeners.
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here today.
Yeah, thank you for coming on our show.
Thanks for connecting in. So you're Westchester, just outside of the New York City area?
Yeah, you bet. New York.
Yeah, the Big Apple, everything is there. Well, appreciate you connecting in.
So let's spend a few minutes learning about you and your company, Pro Doula. Randy, help us to get to know you better.
Yeah, so Pro Doula is an international doula certification organization. I guess I should back up and answer the question, what is a doula? A doula is a person who is hired by a pregnant person or couple who supports them through their pregnancy, the actual birth process, and on the postpartum side when they bring a new baby home. So what a doula does is they instill strength and reduce fear for that person and their partner by providing physical, in-person, educational, and emotional support throughout the process. So Pro Doula is a company that looked at, what we basically did was we looked at our industry of doulas and we thought, wow, there's all these doulas, people who are passionate about birth and supporting families, but they're not making any money and they're not making this work their career. They're making it a hobby. As a lifelong entrepreneur, I had the skill set to show others the way to really creating a profession out of our work and looking at it as a profession rather than a philosophy.
So you kind of found a niche, you know, a vibrant niche that was there, but wasn't really being developed as a business.
Yeah, and I think primarily women are attracted to this work. And I think women have a long history of giving away services that they think will empower or uplift others without consideration of financial gain in return. And I think it's a big crisis. And I think women in general are holding themselves back far more than any patriarchy is trying to hold anyone back.
Yeah, well, you hear a lot about, it used to be just traditional birth and all, but now, you hear a lot about home birth and, different ways of looking at it besides just going the traditional hospital route. And so, it sounds fascinating, the niche you're in with this, helping to lead people through this process.
Yeah, and as a doula myself for 23 years, I've attended more than 1,000 births.
Wow.
And supported hundreds and hundreds of families on the postpartum side as they bring their babies home from the hospital.
Wow.
That must be terrified for couples going into this the first time, but you're just like there, you've seen it, and you're reassuring them.
Exactly, and there's so many people out there who want to do this work as their career, but they have to have some income. They have to have a way to pay their bills. Mm-hmm. And so what Pro Doula basically did was just say, like, hey, everybody wake up. Like, you love this work. It's amazing work. Families need this service or want this service. I had been working for 23 years doing this as my career, and it wasn't until much later in my career that I found out that other doulas didn't have the skill set.
Well, as they say, it's definitely a recession-proof business. Let's learn how a matriarch rules. Family and business roles can be quite similar. How is the matriarch also the CEO?
Yeah, that's a great question. Family is a business, and the way we run our households is a business. Money in, money out, and the goal is to be profitable. Yes, like that's the big family is money comes in, money goes out, and the goal is to be profitable. And the woman, the matriarch, is the person who manages the whole house. Maybe she's not, in some cases, not the sole financial provider or the strongest financial provider, but she casts a vision for the family. She builds a culture for the family. She's She's the chief executive officer of the family in so many ways. And when she recognizes all of the things that she does on a day-to-day basis, networking, sales, she sells ideas to her partner and her children all day long. Her kids are like, I don't want to go to camp. And she gets down and she looks them in the eye and she goes, let me tell you about camp. Camp is an amazing experience. And the kid's like, I want to go to camp. She's a salesperson. Yet she's so willing to say, I'm not good at sales. Or she's so willing to say, I don't know how to build a network. But ask her who she knows who's a plumber, and she'll have 4 phone numbers for you in 10 seconds flat.
So she goes through a lot of the processes a CEO would go through. You got to recognize where your strengths are and where your weaknesses are and know where to get help.
That's right. That's right. And she's got this amazing skill set and she practices it on a daily basis. She just doesn't recognize that it converts to business. And in my book, The Matriarch Rules, I show her exactly how it converts to business.
So that's the key link here. By going through these matriarch rules, you're also building those competencies to be a successful entrepreneur.
Yes, yes. It lives within us. We're problem solvers.
It's waiting to be born. It's waiting to be born.
It's true. It's true. And I'll be the doula to help bring it out.
So many women want someone to validate their choices. Randy, how does a matriarch own her decisions?
Yeah, so a big part of like owning your decisions and living authentically and like living in your own space is coming to terms with who you are and deciding like, who am I? What do I believe in? What will I fight for? What am I passionate about? All of those things. And that comes from a place of great self-esteem. And what I see women do and what I've watched women do for my whole life is tally their deficits rather than their assets. And so, so in my book, I talk about starting an I don't suck list, which is something that I had to do. I wasn't born with great self-esteem. I had to develop it. And one of the ways that I did it, one of the most tangible things that I did was I built an I don't suck list. And every time I did something that was evidence of how capable I was, I wrote it on my I don't suck list. So on days where I felt like I might suck a little bit, I could pull out the evidence and go, wait a minute.
You know, that's such a good, I like the way you phrase that. It's definitely unique. But so many business owners, they get wrapped around the axle of what it is they're not doing right. And instead of, focusing on, what's going right, and that, that can pull the whole, that can pull everything along.
That's right. We're so willing to look at what we suck at rather than what we're great at.
Well, whatever it is you want, you deserve it. You can get it. Randy, how does a matriarch charge for her worth?
Well, the first thing she's got to do is recognize her worth. And that comes with self-esteem, and that comes with like really, really believing that you're worthy of charging for your services. And sometimes I think what happens in business, especially for women, I don't know much about guys, so I can't really speak to that, but women fall into like this idea of like imposter syndrome, where they just don't feel like they're qualified. They don't feel like they're educated enough. They don't feel like an expert. And sometimes you just have to believe someone else who believes you're an expert so that you can bring yourself to the table and say, I'm worth this much money for this service. But we're so afraid if we don't lower our price, we might not get that customer. And if we don't get that customer, we build this whole cycle of fear in our heads that like another customer is never going to come our way. And we just killed our business by not working for free. And I call bullshit on that, if it's okay to say that on your show.
That's okay.
I think we have to we've got to own it. I mean, especially as women, our families make such a tremendous sacrifice for us to work and for us to sell, for us to provide services for somebody else. And to not charge money for those services is to say to our families, you're not worthy.
No, it sounds like a kind of a foundational thing here is self-esteem, and that improving that can build a foundation for, a lot of different areas of business for a female entrepreneur.
It's true. And then when we talk about business, our business has self-esteem or it doesn't. And the way we behave on behalf of our business, that speaks to our business's self-esteem. As a business consultant and coach, I say to people all of the time, if your business could talk right now, what would it say to you? Would it say thank you? Would your business say thank you for investing in me over and over with your time and your resources? And
so a female entrepreneur is impacting the image of her brand, of her business, and she might not even be aware of it. She she is the one who creates the image for that business. And it could be subconsciously just the way she's going about and representing it.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, as especially as a small business owner, your business is an extension of your personal brand. And so if you haven't developed your personal brand as an entrepreneur, as a small business owner, you've got some work to do. You've got to brand yourself. You've got to show people what you stand for, what you believe in, what you look like, how you behave. And once you do those things, you've got to recognize that your business is an extension of your person in the small business sphere.
Randy, you note that a matriarch consciously designs her brand. How does a matriarch carefully craft her business?
Yeah, that's a great question. People are so ready to build a brand, but they don't stop and think about who's their target market. Who is the person? If they had a lump of clay and they could shape that lump of clay into the exact person that they want to attract for their business, who would it be? How old would they be? What gender would they be if that applies? It's like, where do they live? What do they do? What are their hobbies? Like they're not, you have to develop your target market so that you can build a deliberate brand that attracts that target market. And again, I find that women feel like it's exclusionary to focus on a specific target, but in business it's not. And focusing on a specific target market doesn't mean other people won't be attracted to you, but it's a strong starting point so that you know how to build and craft a brand that will attract who you're trying to attract.
Well, you've got to focus on a niche to be successful. You can't spread yourself out over everything.
It's true. It's true. Absolutely.
Well, Randy, your life is your ability to influence the memory of your own existence. How does a matriarch leave a great legacy?
Yeah. Don't you wish more people would think like, well, maybe you don't, but I wish more people would think like that.
You got me thinking about it.
Good. I think that so many of us are more concerned with what somebody might say about us when we step out of a room than we are concerned with what people might say when we're not here anymore. What, will it be a 1 or 2 sentence monologue like, oh, she made a great turkey? Or will it be, she lifted other people up and we felt stronger and braver and more capable in her presence? Like, what is the message and the behaviors and the language, that the things that we do and the words that we speak and the way we behave and the way we pour into others all ultimately become the legacy that we leave. And I believe that when we start with what we want that legacy to be, if we start now, this day, today, with writing down, like, what do I want people to say about me when I'm not here anymore? We can punch that address into our GPS and start behaving in a way that creates that result.
And it helps you be more successful along the way then by focusing on where you want to be.
That's right. We would never start a business without a business plan because we need to know where we're trying to get this company. We'd never go on a road trip without a destination. And yet we're walking these lives, we're living these journeys without knowing what the final destination is. I say, find out what the destination is. Figure out what matters to you. What do you want people to say about you when you're gone? Put that in the GPS and live the life that's going to get you there.
Well, I'm learning now why I'm always lost. So I need to punch into that GPS.
Well, maybe you need a copy of the Matriarch Rules.
I sort of feel left out. I'm waiting for you to write to the book like the Patriarch Rules or something.
Somebody else, bro. That's somebody else.
Not today. Randy Patterson, this has been a wonderful discussion on how a matriarch rules. Do you have any final points you'd like to share?
Yes, I would say the last thing I want to say is that we've really got to build that self-esteem. And without it, we're not going to get anywhere. I have 2 amazing daughters. They're 27 and 23. I know you find that hard to believe.
Yes.
Yes, I did. I was letting you speak.
When they were growing up, the thing that mattered most to me, the one thing that mattered most to me over education, over their grades, over any other thing, was that they had strong self-esteem, because I believe that when we have intact self-esteem, when we feel good about ourselves and we know our worth, we can achieve absolutely anything in the world. Visit my website, randypattersononline.com, and get yourself a copy of the Matriarch Rules.
Well, the Matriarch Rules. Randy Patterson, thanks for being such a great guest on the Home Business Podcast.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. To learn more about Randy Patterson and her book, Matriarch Rules, please visit randypattersononline.com.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Home Business Podcast. Share your feedback with us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and at our website, homebusinessmag.com.
Visit the website for information on advertising, subscribe to our newsletter. Please visit our sponsors. For more information, visit homebusinessmag.com or the expo at homebusinessexpo.com.
I'm Richard Captain Henderson saying anchors away.
We'll talk with you soon. Until then,
Make it a great home-based biz day.